Let's speak to Martin Plaut, who is a fellow at the Institute of Commonwealth Studies. Martin, thank you very much indeed for joining us. How severe is the fighting?
Well, it has been very heavy in the last few days. I mean, 10 days ago, on the 18th, or it's now a little bit longer than that, the Tigrayan forces launched an extraordinary offensive. I mean, they had been fighting since November as guerrilla forces in the hills, in the mountains, and on the 18th, they emerged to attack in essentially conventional warfare both the Eritrean forces in the north and the Ethiopian forces in the south, and they swept them aside. I mean, it is really one of the most extraordinary offensives in modern times, and they pushed them right out of a series of towns, right from Shiraro, right in the north, which I believe today has gone over to the Tigrayans, right the way through to the regional capital, Mekelle. As they were leaving, the Ethiopian forces went into the banks. They removed all the reserves of the banks. They went into the United Nations offices, removed their computers and a lot of their communications equipment. And there is, as the spokesman was now saying, a communications blackout in Tigray. So it's very difficult to keep a clear indication of what is going on, but clearly it's been an extraordinary change of events.
Has the government in Addis Ababa actually offered a ceasefire? In other words, has it offered a negotiation, or is it simply a unilateral act?
They have offered a unilateral ceasefire, but quite what that means is difficult to understand. Today, the Ethiopian military said, well, we could be back in Mekelle in a couple of weeks if we wanted to. So it doesn't seem to be a very, shall we say, deep offer. The Tigrayans say, well, we're not going to stop fighting until the last of the Eritrean, Ethiopian troops are off our soil. And they determined to take back all the territory that they lost in November. So, there is it really hasn't had any function. The United States, after the unilateral ceasefire offer was made, said, well, look, we're not going to stop holding you to account, and the Eritreans have to leave Tigray. So there's a lot at stake. And then, of course, there's the famine.
I wanted to ask you exactly about that, Martin. Do you see any indication that a famine can be avoided?
If I'm honest with you, no. People are dying now, and they will continue dying. They will die in larger numbers. What can be done is that aid shipments which are already stockpiled in Kenya, which are already in Ethiopia, which have been blocked at various roadblocks, could be allowed through. That would make a huge difference, and that would really allow sections of the country of the region of Tigray to receive aid for the first time. That would be an enormous advance. But really, you need the ports of Eritrea, which are on the Red Sea, to be opened so that convoys from the World Food Programme and other United Nations agencies can flow up from the ports down to Tigray from the north. So you need to, in a sense, come at it from both sides, from both north and south, and a road should be open to Sudan as it was in the 84-85 famine. In that famine, 400 to 500,000 people died. We just cannot allow that to happen again. There've been warnings from people like the Famine Early Warning System, by the United Nations, by the World Food Programme, by all sorts of people for months now that the area is on the edge of starvation. This must be addressed immediately, but I'm afraid people will still continue to die, hopefully in small numbers, but if it's not addressed, in larger numbers.
Martin, thank you very much indeed. Martin Plaut is a fellow at the Institute of Commonwealth Studies.